and A'ja Wilson and the Las Vegas Aces lose Game 1 on their home court to the Indiana Fever, 89-73. The Indiana Fever were in control of this game from start to finish.
Was Game 2 even basketball, or a whistle parade dressed up as defense? If you watched the middle of this series and felt your eyebrows lock in confusion, you weren't alone. Bodies kept skidding across the hardwood. The rhythm, normally the heartbeat of playoff hoops, got chopped into confetti. Possession, beep, possession, beep. And somehow the post-game story crowned one stat line while ignoring the bruises that built it. This is where it gets tricky. On paper, Vegas looked back. In real time, it felt like momentum died of 1,000 stoppages. Indiana's lanes closed, spacing shrank, and timing went stale, right when the game begged for a run. Meanwhile, the most physical team on the floor kept getting the friendliest oxygen, free throws, resets, and just enough pauses to cool the fever every time they started to simmer. But here's the part the box score can't tell you. The same group that stole Game 1 with icy control didn't fold when the whistle storm hit. They absorbed it. They adjusted on the fly. They turned a borderline unwatchable second act into fuel. And when the series shifted again, that fuel lit up Gainbridge like a fuse. So let's ask the only questions that matter now. How did Indiana walk straight into Las Vegas, face down the two-time champs, stomach a night where flow went missing, and still fly home level? How do you reconcile highlight reel numbers with the contact that created them? And what does all of it mean when the season now balances on one night, in one building, with one crowd determined to make every bump and missed call sound 10 times louder than usual? If Game 2 was chaos, Game 5 is clarity. No more excuses. No more noise. Just 40 minutes that will decide whether Indiana's composure was a fluke or the foundation of something real. But before the finale, remember where the earthquake started.
Steph, why don't you think you were able to find any flow? And when that was the case, what are you trying to do to jumpstart things, maybe on the defense?
Well, it's hard for us to find flow when there's a foul call every 10 seconds. I mean, it just really is. And when they're at the free throw line, we can't get up and down the floor. And that's a challenge. They were much more aggressive and physical defensively. We didn't counter that with our off-ball actions or with our back cuts. So they took us out of our comfort zone. I mean, offense is about rhythm. It's about timing. It's about spacing. We allowed them to do that, and they kept us from.
Game 1 was supposed to be polite. Take your lumps, learn a lesson, try again. Instead, Indiana walked into the champ's house and started rearranging furniture. No chest thumping. No victory poses, just a team that knew exactly which levers to pull and how long to hold them. They took the crowd out early, not with a haymaker, but with a metronome. Empty corner actions, quick triggers, second side touches. The ball didn't stick. The pace didn't wobble. Every trip down felt like a reminder. We decide the temperature. And at the center of it all, Kelsey Mitchell authored a masterclass, 34 in a playoff career high. But more important than the number was the method. She didn't chase heat checks, she manufactured them. Reject the first screen, set up the second, punish the cushion, flip the angle, cash the pull-up. When Vegas tried to jam her with bodies, she turned their pressure into space. When they sagged, she turned daylight into threes. Indiana's timing was ruthless. They dodged the Aces' trademark avalanche by refusing to give them a slope. Every time Vegas pushed, the Fever answered with a possession that exhaled. Shot at 0-04, not 0-14. Paint touch before panic. Corner lift exactly when help turned its head. It wasn't flashy. It was surgical. And surgery in a hostile arena is louder than any dunk. Meanwhile, the Fever defense did something subtle and devastating. They forced tough twos and lived with the results. Bodies walled off the rim. Hands bothered the release. Even when star power tried to bend the game by force, Indiana kept the geometry honest. The math added up to frustration, and frustration added up to forced shots. By the fourth quarter, the champs were hunting answers that weren't there. The scoreboard told the simple story, 89-73 on the road against the two-time title holders. The subtext told the real one. Indiana didn't steal anything. They imposed preferences. They made the court feel small for Vegas and infinite for themselves. If you wanted to label it an upset, fine. But the tape called it something else. Control. One team left rattled, looking for a lever that didn't break in their hands. Here's the twist. It wasn't the underdog, but the champs weren't about to let an opener define them.
I mean, it feels like a physical game every game. Feels like it's been a physical season. But yes, I think, I feel like I've been on the ground a little bit more this series so far. But we just keep getting back up, so that's all you can really say.
Game 2 arrived like a shoulder check. The Aces walked in with a point to prove and a mood to match. And then came the whistles, 41 of them. If rhythm is the Fever's oxygen, the stoppages were a plastic bag. Start, stop. Start, stop. Every mini run got sliced by a foul you could debate 3 ways in slow motion. Aya Wilson recalibrated to 25-9. Vegas ran away 90-68. And the box score looked tidy while the floor looked like bumper cars. Lexie Hull, taped up after a back scare from Game 1, still drilled 5 threes, which tied a franchise playoff record, and kept Indiana from flatlining. That's not a stat, that's defiance. But the score didn't answer the only question that matters. How did Vegas actually bottle Kelsey Mitchell? From the jump, the Aces made one ruthless promise. Kelsey wasn't going to see daylight. Face guard without the ball. Quick top locks to erase the first step. Smash the first screen, jump the second, and turn every catch into a negotiation. Those free curls she lives on suddenly cost double. Even when she shook loose, it was with late clock nipping at her heels. Her night shrank from 34 fireworks to 13 hard-earned points. It wasn't that she forgot how to score. Vegas hunted the ignition source and poured sand on it. The brilliance of Game 2's plan is ugly on paper. Make every cut a bruise, every angle a fist fight, then pretend it's just playoff intensity. And for a night, it worked. Meanwhile, Aaliyah Boston fought physics. If you only saw the box score, steady points, double-digit boards, you missed the cost. Hip checks at the block, forearms on the spin, elbows that incidental contacted her airspace. Vegas stretched the floor to drag help away. When she anchored, the hits kept coming. People talk about verticality. Boston played like she had to rebuild hers every possession. And still she kept double-digit rebounds alive through sheer stubbornness. That's not finesse. That's trench work the cameras only love when it turns into an N1 whistle that never came.
Take that. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That's one. That's one. That's one. That ain't song and dance to me, man. I'm just grateful, man. I love basketball. I love playing with my team. So let's take a week.
Let's just say it. Lexie Hull should have been DMP rest. Instead, she was DMP relentless. Updated to a game-time call with the back barking. She taped, stretched, breathed through the sting, and stepped into the storm. 5 splashes from deep, tying the Fever postseason record, while eating shoulder checks on off-ball routes that would make a safety blush. She didn't need the room to sympathize. She needed just enough room to launch. On a night that kept tripping Indiana's rhythm, Hull kept the game wired. But the champs had one more card to play, depth and adjustments on repeat. In Indy, Game 3 exposed a different problem. Las Vegas doesn't have to be perfect at the top when it's sturdy everywhere else. Rotations tightened, coverages got tidier, the weak side tags arrived on time. The Aces' balance smothered Indiana's options, and the Fever felt boxed into late clock prayers. It wasn't flashy. It was efficient erosion, the kind that flips a series without a single poster dunk. And then Gainbridge woke up. Home crowds can be loud. Indy crowds are forensic. Game 4 didn't just hum. It hunted. Every bump on Boston, every hand check on a Mitchell curl, every time Hull hit the deck, the building kept a receipt. The Fever fed off it and responded 90-83. Boston 24-14. A surgeon's calm with a linebacker's pain tolerance. Mitchell 25, back to bending space. Odyssey Sims 18, carving lanes that didn't exist a second earlier. Post-game, Becky Hammon and Aya Wilson pointed at the free throw/foul numbers and called the disparity very interesting. Hammon went spicier. We'll call it SHT and keep it YouTube safe. The point isn't who won the whistle. The point is that officiating has lived rent-free in this series from the moment 41 fouls dominated Game 2. and now both locker rooms have their grievances in ink, which leaves the only question that matters.
Yeah, Lexie, obviously you were a late add to the injury report today. Just how are you feeling this morning with your back, and what do you have to do to be able to play tonight?
I mean, I'm feeling sore still, but I think just a lot of treatment, trying to get, our bodies as ready as we can be. Part of playoffs, I think, for everyone is it's the end of the season. Everyone's a little fatigued, everyone's a little sore. So just trying to go out there and do the best I can. Yeah, a lot of treatment with our trainers. I'm really thankful for them to spend a lot of time with me today, a lot of time with me yesterday, getting me ready for tonight.
Vegas is where statements go to get tested. If Indiana wants the flight to mean something, 3 things have to happen fast. Beat the first hit on Kelsey. Face guard. Fine. Use it against them. Early pistol into Spain flare. Ghost into empty corner slips. And post Kelsey on the second side once the denial overplays. Make the overplay pay with layups, not complaints. Turn Boston's gravity into threes. Short rolls at the nail with shooters lifting on the weak side. Punish the low man who's been late all series when the crowd screams. Keep Lexie's green light green. The back's barking, so steal rhythm with design. Stagger into hammer drift. Early drag when Vegas cross matches. Let her touch it twice per trip whether she shoots or not. Touches create heat. If the aces flip the board, it'll be with the same pressure points. Squeeze Mitchell's space. Make the game horizontal and dare the refs to swallow the whistle when bodies clang. Indiana's counter isn't mystical, it's surgical. Start each possession with a new problem Vegas hasn't solved. End each quarter with a shot at 0-0-3, not a bailout at midnight. Do that, and those road runs don't feel like avalanches. They feel like weather. Here's the truth you can feel even with the volume off. The Fever didn't come this far to let a beep write the story. They took Game 1 in a hostile arena. They swallowed Game 2's chaos and showed spine. They got outgunned in Game 3 and still punched back in Game 4. That's not luck. That's character. Loud, stubborn, and suddenly one win from a story nobody predicted in June. Drop a "Let's go, Lexie. Let's go" in the comments if you felt that 5-3 night through the screen. And if you're rocking with this breakdown, hit like, sub, and bell it, because when Game 5 tilts, we'll be right here, calling the tilt before the scoreboard catches up.